Hey everyone, welcome to episode 10 of the Cartoon Flashback. And this is going to be a special episode since it's the 10th one. I'm going to be reviewing not one but two cartoons from the past. Both premiered in the 90s and both were part of the Disney Afternoon. And the first one I'm going to start out with, because I'm going to go in some chronological order, is, I'm going to kind of cover this right here because I already reviewed that one, Goof Troop. Now, you might be asking yourself, if you have not heard about the series, what is Goof Troop? Well, back in the 90s, Disney, back in the late 80s, early 90s, Disney had two series that starred classic characters. The first series was made in 87, 88, and that was DuckTales. And it was based on the classic, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but classic stories that were found in Disney. And it had classic characters like Scrooge, Huey, Dewey, Louie. They had Donald in there at times, things like that. And then about a year or two later, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers came out, and that was starring classic characters Chip and Dale. And of course they had some guest appearances. One major was Humphrey the Bear. And a few others maybe in between. But then, after a while, Disney decided to go original for some time. Talespin was an original series. Of course, it starred a classic character in Baloo from the classic characters from the Jungle Book, but that was mainly based off an animated feature. Didn't star established characters that you saw theatrically in the past, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So, for the next 2 years, with Talespin and then Darkwing Duck were more original, and then finally, in 1992, they decided to release a new animated series starring a classic character, a character that a lot of fans, I guess, were hoping was going to get a series, and I think Disney wanted to go in this direction, and that was Goofy. Goofy starred in his first animated series, which is Goof Troop, that is right here, and it was basically, I think, based more off of his classic shorts to where he's portrayed as a father was his son Junior. Now we find out Junior's real name apparently is Max. And Max here is not the 5, 6-year-old we saw in the classic shorts. No, he's more of a 12, 13-year-old. Now, basically the basic plot line, if there's any plot line, and at the beginning in the pilot episode is Goofy finally gets his diploma, if you will, or his degree from a cooking school, or culinary school, or something like that, and decides that this is going to help him get a job finally. And I guess since they saved up enough money, they're going to move out to Goofy's old hometown of Spoonaville. Now, ironically, living in Spoonaville is Goofy's old classmate from high school, and I guess all schools in between, childhood high school friend, Pete. And now, of course, when Pete gets a call from Goofy, hearing that Goofy's on his way down there, Pete's not very enthusiastic about it. But Pete is so obsessed and so occupied with the fact that he's going to get the property of the house. He's going to get the property where a house that his wife, Peg, and I'm pretty sure we can find her. Here she is. Peg owns. His wife, Peg, of course, owns a real estate owns her own real estate business called Peg of My Heart, and she sells houses basically that are on the market. Well, anyway, the house next door to hers and Pete's, she has not been able to sell because, unknown to her, Pete has basically equipped it or something like that with all sorts of tricks and traps like spiders, earthquake equipment to make the house shake, things like that. Well, unfortunately, Pete doesn't get what he wants because while he's gone getting everything ready to finally get the house, because he's made a deal with his wife that if she doesn't sell it by midnight, he gets it. While he's gone, Goofy and Max show up. Peg is the first to recognize Goofy, and Goofy recognizes her. And thus they end up renewing the friendship. The kids end up becoming friends. Max becomes friends with PJ. Of course, PJ is Pete Jr. And Pistol, who is an original character, sort of looks like a younger version of Peg, a little bit more wild, if you know what I mean. Anyway, basically what happens is Pete finally returns, sees damage to his boat, because apparently he's got good inspection eyes, and, well, everything goes, on from there. Pete is upset that Goofy is here, finally has arrived, and he's more upset at the fact that his wife has sold the house next door to Goofy. Because he is the only one, Pete, that knows that Goofy, although he's a good-hearted person and does the right thing, is also very clumsy. But overall, this was sort of like Disney's version of the family sitcom, although it was animated and it was shown in the afternoon. They did have a Christmas special, which was called Have Yourself a Goofy Little Christmas, and it didn't take place in Spoonerville, it took place in Aspen, Colorado. Very good special, very good animation in it. But overall, it was a very good show, and it spun off and inspired the Goofy movie, which came out in 1995, and then its sequel, which came out in 2000, I think about the year 2000, extremely goofy movie. And I think it's inspired a future sequel, which is coming out, I don't know if it is or not, real soon. But overall, very good series. One thing that some fans talk about sometimes, and they like to joke about, sometimes, is the relationship factor there between Peg and Goofy. Now, although Peg loves Pete and she's married to Pete, she has kids with him and everything, every time you see her interact with Goofy in some way, like when Goofy probably tries to get her wife, or when he unexpectedly gives her ideas when she's trying to get noticed by this upper crust lady, if you will, that she ends up kissing him and hugging him and doing things like that, and people think, and so some people that think, man, does she want him for herself? Would she rather prefer him than Pete? But there is one episode where Pete and Goofy switch, places, and I think she kind of gets the idea that she'd rather be with Pete than Goofy. Although Goofy is a kind-hearted person, but although she might have had feelings, still does for Goofy and things like that, might be attracted to him, whatever. But overall, Goof Troop was a very good series, and that's all I can say. Excuse me for a second. Alright, I got about 3 more minutes, or 2.5 minutes to do this. The second cartoon I want to talk about is Bonkers. It came out a year or so earlier. Later. And not only is it a very funny show, originally this was supposed to be Roger Rabbit's show, but because of legal issues, that did not happen. Disney decided to create an original character, Bonkers the Bobcat, and of course this is his girlfriend Fondier. Now, basically the show is a spin-off of his animated shorts on Raw Toonish, which came out a year earlier, and those episodes are shown in a compilation. And but it does follow his life after his time as a movie star, where he becomes a cop. His first partner is Lucky Bacall. They have some adventures. Lucky's sort of like Eddie Valiant, if you will. Respects Bonkers, but does not like his acting sometimes, and just to the point that it pisses him off to no end. And then later on, Bonkers gets a partner, Miranda Wright, who's more tolerant, more respectable. In fact, sometimes she even embraces Bonkers' ideas and Toonieism. The only character that's similar to Lucky is the Sergeant Grading, and the only one that accepts Bonkers on the team for who he is in both Lucky and Miranda episodes is the Chief, because the Chief's very cuckoo. But anyway, very good show. It had its two main episodes. The pilot, Going and Gone Bonkers, was a very good episode. Definitely good introduction to it. And then the transition episode, I guess what you could say the first season, Lucky Bacall season finale, New Partners on the Block, was a very good episode. Sort of like the first one, brought all the characters back, used the same kind of special effects, CGI animation in certain parts, especially like with the rain. The characters like Fawn, Jitters, and Grumbles had more speaking time, and definitely gave people an understanding that saw Bonkers, on the Disney Channel, doing the Disney Channel sneak peek with Miranda, gave them a better understanding of how he became partners with her. But overall, very good show, despite what some people may say about it. If you ever get a chance to catch it, I suggest you do. It's not on DVD yet, although I recorded it onto DVD. But hopefully it will be someday. And that's all I could say. Hopefully I made some sense. If not, I'm sorry. And I hope you enjoyed this double look-back, flashback review of Goof Troop and Bonkers here on the Cartoon Flashback, Episode 10. So until next time, I'm Brian saying God bless and take care.